So here I am in Mary Lee's wonderful classroom, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the finished work that I have. I do a lot of bowls and vessel forms, and I really like the idea of bowls as a, an object of utility. It's one of those basic human needs fulfillers. So one of the, it can hold food, it can offer things, it can store things. It's a basic human need. This is one that I made when I was in India. I did a residency there a few years ago, and I was responding to what I saw in India. I think the decoration on utilitarian objects was really beautiful. This sort of striping here was something that I saw on as curbs on the side of the road. And then this patterning here is sort of reminiscent of fabric patterns. There's a whole lot of interesting textile work done in India, almost all, or maybe all, done by hand. And two, I wanted to mention that almost all of my pieces, the inside of them is very often shiny, especially on the bowl forms, because I like that sort of reference to having the need to be able to clean the food out, okay, and make it sanitary again. But the outsides of them, I don't leave shiny because I like them to sort of invite the touch, to feel soft and to look like they'll feel soft instead of looking like they'll feel cold and slick and a little clinical. So this is another bowl that I have done quite recently. This was this year, 2024. And it's shinier than the other one, but this is a hand-finished surface. So it's not as shiny and slick as the inside is. It's got a sort of a satin finish, like really nice skin. And this patterning, it's sort of about, it's about making connections to things. And what this is it's little shards of broken enamel that I put enamel on the outside, and then I lay the shards of broken enamel on and fire them in. And then I'll grind off the whole surface to make it a consistent, smooth surface. So there are shards of 4 or 5 different colors of yellow, and then some glass beads also laid in there. I really love this color combination, the brick red and the yellows. And this bowl, which is also from this year, is just, every now and again, I want to do something that's really quite minimal. So I'm thinking about sort of the basics of form. So the form of the piece, the edge of the piece, the texture, the color, and sort of nothing else. So the inside is this turquoise blue over silver foil, so it's super shiny and precious and gemmy. And then the outside is just black with a really gritty, sandy surface that I achieve by having, again, a layer of enamel that's fired on and then another layer of enamel that's fired but just barely, so that the grains are attached, but they're still individual grains. So it's got this sort of gritty feel to it, like it's sandy. And then a sort of polished copper edge. So this is another one. This is a little lidded vessel that also has that not quite fired all the way to shiny surface. And this is based on a mushroom. I went for a hike with my niece who was really into mushrooms. And we kept seeing these little things, and I would say, "Oh, Mary Frances, is that a puffball? Can we pick it and eat it?" And she would say, "Well, it's either a puffball or it's an amanita seed, which is deadly poisonous. Would you like to try?" And I said, "No." And so I made this piece, and it's got that texture that these wild mushrooms I was looking at have. And I also, just to sort of remember the joke of maybe it's poisonous, maybe it's good, I tried to make the inside this kind of poisonous coloring, and the black and white reference to the gills on the bottom of a mushroom. This is another lidded vessel. This is one I did this year. It's cloisonne, and I was using different thicknesses of cloisonne wire. So it's called Blue Wave. It's sort of for obvious reasons. And what I did with this is a mixture of different opaque and transparent blue enamels. And then in here, where it looks sort of like old-fashioned kitchen floor linoleum, I took a bunch of fired enamel shards, little chips of enamel, and I ground them down with a rolling pin. And then instead of using powdered enamel to pack in here, I used that sort of gritty, sandy shards. And it has a really different look. It's sort of funny, sort of interesting. This was another one that I made using the shards. I'm really getting into those little chips of fired enamel. So fire it onto something, break it off, and then place the pieces like a puzzle. This one is smooth on the inside and very rough and sandy on the outside. And this is really, this piece was really sort of a result of walking along the beach and seeing barnacles and other things that were growing on rocks and shells. This piece is called Aubergine, and it's a hand-raised copper form with these dashes and dots of silver that are just laid in and then enamel packed around them, kind of like cloisonne, but they're not continuous lines. And this one, I made it originally because I had a lid that I had made for another piece several years ago that I really liked, but it wasn't appropriate for the vessel that I'd made, so I had to make a different lid for that. So I had a lid just sitting on my windowsill for years, and I wanted to use it, so I made this vessel to use that lid. And I finished the vessel, and I put the lid on it, and I went, "Oh, that's not right." So I took the lid off, put it back on the windowsill, and made another lid, which also didn't work. So now I have 2 extra lids on my windowsill. And then I made this lid, which I do like for it. So now I need to make 2 more vessels to go with the other 2 lids. They're perfectly good lids. They just didn't go with this. So it's raised copper with silver lines, and then the lid is silver. This is a diopside, and these are spinels that are riveted in. And the last piece that I have here is this little one called Growth. green barnacles. And this, it's made of silver with green transparent enamel, a bunch of different greens and yellows and browns. And the lid is a single piece, so what you can see where these sort of barnacle forms are sticking up from on the outside, there's a corresponding depression on the inside. So this is a single piece of metal with these are not soldered on. And it lines up. So again, these are those little chips that I'm breaking off and laying onto an enameled surface. So again, it's about a walk on the beach and barnacles and the patterns of growth of one thing on another in nature. And then this, it's got 6 legs, so it looks like it's skittering along. And it's got a gritty, slightly underfired surface. Okay. So it's not shiny on the outside. And that's all. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mary Lee. And thank you, Gary, for all your videography. Okay.